Hello, I'm Melanie Cotton with CASA of Liberty Chambers County, and we're going to discuss today how you can join our program and help children that come into the CPS system. I'm so glad you have all joined us today. We will discuss how to be a great advocate for children that need someone in their life at such a special time as this. And we are here to help the children in the CPS child welfare system. And our motto is join the I Am for the Child movement. So we are here for the children in order to help the judge make the best decision he can. And so we're going to go ahead and go through these slides here. And the second slide we're going to go through is what is a court appointed special advocate. And so we're going to watch a small short video here, and it's about 3 minutes. So let's talk a little bit about what is a court-appointed special advocate. Let's reiterate a little bit. So someone that assists for the children, someone that visits them each month, someone that speaks up for them, someone that just helps them thrive and give advice to the judge so that they can make the best informed decision for these children. And so our slide number 3 is our mission. CASA's mission is to speak up for and find permanent homes for foster children in crisis. And our vision is a world where every abused and neglected child is given the opportunity to thrive in a safe and loving home. And that's what we want to do here at CASA. We want to gain volunteers that will be there for the child and speak up for the child, find things in their lives that will help them while they're in the CPS system. How did the CASA movement begin? In 1977 in Seattle, Washington, a court judge was concerned about making drastic decisions and speaking up for these children. And so they first formed their first program, and it has grown a network of nearly 950 CASA guardian ad litem programs with over 93,000 advocates who have served over 271,000 children annually in 49 states. And so you can see here that this is such a need that we have for our children. Our judge here for Liberty Chambers County is Judge Lockwood, and these are some volunteers that we do have still currently for us with our CASAs, and they are helping our children. What do CASA volunteers do? We first want to listen and then act, because sometimes we can actually think things in our own selves, in our own ways, because we are human. But the first thing our children need us to do is to listen first. Volunteers, we get to know our children by talking with everyone in their lives. Parents, relatives, foster parents, attorneys, social workers, medical professionals, their teachers, anyone that you know that you can contact or get in touch with that are in these children's lives. They use information together to give to the judge so that he can definitely make a decision, because our goal for these children are to find permanent homes. And right now we are in a crisis in our life, I guess, with COVID. And so everything is a lot on phones, by way of social media, texting. And so we do want to use everything that we can, regardless if we're in a lockdown, we still can visit these children by way of FaceTime and all kinds of other things that we can use. So our children will definitely get the best things that they need in their lives at this permanent time. Some history of CASA of Liberty Chambers County is, in 2005, it was just an idea of a few concerned citizens sitting around a kitchen table. The original group had approached Texas CASA about starting a program for both Liberty and Chambers, since that is what our area covers. It was originally under the 5013C3 of Bridgehaven Child Advocacy Center in Dayton. But in June of 2009, CASA separated from Bridgehaven and we became a standalone organization, and we received our first assigned case in 2009. Some Texas statistics. In 2019, according to Texas CASA, there were over 51,000 children in the child welfare system. Over 30,000 children were served by CASA, and we had over 10,000 CASA volunteers. There were 66% of all Texas prison inmates were in foster care at one time or another because of child abuse or neglect. So you can see that it's important that we speak up for the child for his or her basic human rights, so that we don't have the rest of our CASA children becoming a statistic. And as Mike Satterfield said, even if you just change one life, you have changed a life forever. In 2019, Liberty and Chambers County, some more statistics. In Liberty, there were over 1,035 alleged victims of abuse and neglect. 519 of those cases were actually confirmed victims. And in Chambers County, 282 alleged victims of abuse and neglect, and 181 of those cases were actually confirmed victims. You might be asking, why do we need volunteers? This is a slide that kind of just helps you see a little bit better. In Liberty, we had 77 cases, and in Chambers, we had 22 cases in 2019. And this is a total of 99 children. So it just makes you think a little bit more about how much these children need us as you see them in sort of a classroom setting. And all of these children that are removed from their home because of neglect or abuse, they're in these placements and they still have to somewhat live a normal life and go to school and see their peers. And so it's just so important that we are there for them and that we help guide them and just let them know that they're not alone. In 2019, our CASA volunteers advocated for 194 children. You can see here, 0 to 5 years, it was 106 children. 6 to 11 years was 52 children. 12 to 18 years was 43, and 18 years and older was 3 years. Our sibling relationships can provide positive support and improved outcomes for children involved with our child welfare, as well as for those in the general population. Connections with our siblings can serve as a protective factor of children who have been removed from their birth homes, but for a variety of reasons. Siblings may not be placed together and not have regular contact. And so us here at Liberty Chambers, we do not transport children, but we would love for our volunteers to be able to connect with our CPS system and their caseworkers to make sure that those sibling visits are occurring each month, because it's very important for our children to be able to see their siblings and be able to have communication with them every month to help them thrive. So we just like to ask that you be prepared to work with the sibling group just to make sure that they are having contact. Be prepared to do that maybe twice a month. We do not transport in the beginning, but after 6 months, you can put in a request to transport children. But as for now, we just like to know that you would help the children be able to make that contact every month. And you may ask, what kind of support will you receive as a CASA volunteer? You will have a advocate coordinator, and you can see on this slide that the advocate coordinator could support up to 30 volunteers. And so we could actually be serving up to 75 children at one time. So it's super important that we have CASAs, because we know that our CASA volunteer, our CASA coordinator could not visit all of these children every month. Same as our CPS caseworkers. They have all of these children, and it's just too hard for one person to be able to visit all of these children. So when we have our CASA volunteers and y'all are helping us do that, it helps all of our children be able to get the support that they need every month. So we just ask that you be assigned to a CASA coordinator. You will receive all of your Optima and computer training. You will receive emotional support, and you will have opportunities for continuing education. And we like to say emotional support is because we are all human. We all have lives outside of CASA. And so if there's something going on in your life with your own personal children or anything with your jobs, we want you to know that we're here to support you. We are here so that you can talk to us about your case and be there for just support, just in general, because we all need it at certain times. And once we give you the support that you need, then you're able to give your children the support that they need in CASA, and everyone is thriving. To become a CASA volunteer, we would like for you to make sure that you commit to 1 year of your time so that these children have someone that is there and that is secure for them. A case usually lasts about 1 year, and so that's just the time that we ask that you commit, because they have already lost special people in their lives, so we want us to be the constant in their life. Be over the age of 21, be able to effectively communicate orally and in writing, be able, as we talked about, work with a sibling group, be able to travel to the child's home and advocate for them, and also be willing to participate in a 30-hour training program in order to become a volunteer. And right now, due to COVID, we are on Zoom 15 hours, and then we have 15 hours of online manual at home. And once you're done with that, you will have a 3-hour courtroom observation with the judge where you are sworn in. Be able to provide 3 non-relative references, and be able to pass a criminal CPS, DPS, and fingerprint background check. Exactly what do our CASA volunteers do? So we'll reiterate a little bit here. We gather information, we document our findings, and we appear in court. And right now, court is by way of Zoom. And we explain what's going on so that we help the child understand all the court proceedings, and we also help the judge so that he can make a great decision for these children's lives. And we just like to say, be the glue. Seek cooperative solutions among individuals and organizations involved in these children's lives. As one volunteer said, be the glue that connects the pieces in a complicated child welfare system. Recommend services and monitor the case plans and court orders, and just keep the court informed. And we'll watch one more small short video. It talks about, again, what CASA volunteers do. So again, we just want to reiterate what our volunteers do. Our volunteers are there, they support, they help, they find, and they gather. And that's what we want to do, is to help a child. We want to be there. We want to influence the child, and we want to bring stability and just build relationships in their lives. That's what we're really there to do. So let's talk a little bit about facts. Do I need any special skills or to meet any requirements? Absolutely not. We encourage people from all cultures and professions. All you have to have is a willing heart and to be there. And you may ask what you will be assigned, what type of children. And actually, our director here, she will give you the choice to pick a child, the age group, if we have that available. If not, she'll give you your first case, and then we will document in your file so that your next case, that if we have it available, we will be able to give that to you. Also, we just like for you to be able to be there and be present in these children's lives. What kind of support will you receive on the other side of that? You will be supported every step of the way. As we said before, we are there to help you, to give you guidance, to give you continuing education. We have resources provided by our national CASA, including our resource library, Facebook, conferences, anything you need, we are there at all times. How much time will it take for you to be a CASA volunteer? Well, in the beginning, it does take a 30-hour training course. We ask that you commit to 1 year. Volunteers sometimes say that there is a greater amount of work in the beginning of the case when they're conducting their initial research. So on an average, we like to say that it takes about 10 hours per month in the beginning. After that, it may take you 5 hours and then a couple of hours a month. Just depends on the type of case that you have. And do you need to make a long-term commitment? Yes, we ask that you commit to 1 year so that that child has someone constant in their life. Okay, I would like to go over a scenario with y'all. So let's talk about James. Home number 1, grandparents. James tested positive for heroin when he was born, resulting in his first removal from his mother by CPS. He was then adopted by his grandparents, but by age 10, he was begging for food at local stores. So you can see where this caught the attention, and he was removed. He was put into a second home, which was a residential treatment center. James was diagnosed with ADHD and exhibited violent outbursts. And so from this, he met his CASA, Ron. When James was scheduled to have visitations with his family, his CASA would always be there, even when his family was not. As this case remained open, James's parents' rights were terminated. Around the same time his grandfather passed away, he seemed to shrug these things off as occurrences due to therapists and staff at the RTC. But with Ron, his CASA, he wept and spoke openly of his feelings. This is the depth of understanding and care of a CASA that provides to a child when they have no one. So, home number three, James's relative, Ron, found a placement with James's relative, and Ron visited there twice a week. Concurrently, James's medication was changed, causing his muscles to quiver and the inability to speak, except in short sentences. So you can see James was also removed from there. So a fourth home was a second residential treatment center. James thrived during his time at this placement because James was available for adoption. Ron attended all of the adoption picnics. Everything Ron could attend to help him, he did. Usually shy and uncomfortable in crowds, James spent his time at the picnics helping younger kids. This caught the attention of a couple who were there to become his parents. So, home number five was James's forever home. After 6 months of living with this couple, he was officially adopted by them. James is now off of his medications, attends public school, communicates well, and even sings in a church choir. So you can see, after spending 1,146 days in foster care with the help of Ron, his CASA, James now has his forever home. So this goes to show you here that if you are very, very much in this child's life and you're present and you're helping, you can see the outcome can be so awesome for these children. And one last story I would like to go over with you is Jeremiah and Jenny. Jeremiah 5 and Jenny was 7. They were removed from their parents in May of 16 and placed into foster care due to severe neglect and abuse. The kids remained stable in foster placement for 2 years. They found their CASA Elizabeth in 2017. She worked diligently to find family for them. She was able to find and visit several family members, including a stepfather who would take them. But sadly, that placement only lasted a few months because Jeremiah suffered from PTSD. After being rejected by the family, the kids were in 2 more foster homes before Jeremiah ended up in a residential treatment center in Houston, Texas. Jenny was placed in a foster home in the Valley. Jeremiah had trouble in the treatment center, but he found a champion, a volunteer appointed to represent him at school, who became a surrogate parent. When Elizabeth spoke with the surrogate parent, she expressed interest in adopting Jeremiah, but she did not have room for Jenny. Elizabeth kept in contact and made several arrangements with Jenny to have visits. The family fell in love with Jenny too, and they made the necessary arrangements to adopt both children. In August of 2018, both children were adopted, and that was their forever home. And so you can see that even though they say that maybe they don't have room for children, or you just know that they may not be placed together. It shows you in this here that just keeping in contact and making visits, like we talked about earlier, having sibling visits. If you just make sure that you have visits and you show up, you never know what can happen. And that happened here for these children. They both ended up in the same home, and it's just awesome for them now. So it's just a blessing to see. So one last thing, how to become a CASA volunteer. You can fill out an application at casalctx.org with submitting 3 personal references. You interview also with the staff member here at CASA, completing your 30 hours of training, your 3 hours of courtroom observation, and then your final paperwork. And that's what it takes to become a CASA volunteer. I just want to thank you so much for spending a few short moments with us and listening. And I want to let you know that these children would absolutely benefit from y'all. And I know that you'll become a great advocate for us and for these children. And some couple of other things that we offer here is family engagement. We have trauma, advocacy, empowerment. We have fostering futures. We have community involvement and clergy in the court. And so I look so forward to hearing from you all. If you have any other questions, you can also reach me. Again, I'm Melanie Cotton. My number is 409-781-8035. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a blessed day.